hiring yourself to do the work, because you have to do the work. If you have, we had 100 people show up to the house in Malden, right? What has cold calling allowed us to do? Even if you're not cold calling for new business, cold calling generally applies to everything. Calling people for business to improve your ratios of selling the properties you already have on the market. You could go in a cold directory, pull up a nice little diameter of the neighborhood, call them and invite them to the open house. Call them again, tell them the house sold, right? Oh, I'm giving the neighbors a courtesy call. This is Dave, DNA Realty Group. Giving the neighbors a courtesy call. We have a house for sale in Malden down the street, and we're having an open house. Oh, great, thank you. Oh, by the way, did you ever think about selling your home? In which case, they'll say whatever they're gonna say. And if you could probably pick up an easy few leads every listing, you know, that's, I mean, it's easy. It's too easy not to do it. Then people always talk about the big why. I like the idea. I've been hearing the big why talk for a long time. I say screw the big why, because I've been thinking a lot about it, and if you're gonna wait until there's some big magical reason for you to do the work you need to do, you'll never get started. So do a bunch of little whys until you get to your big why, you know what I mean? Like my why do I cold call? I don't know. So on Sundays I could spend all day with my kid, right? That reward is at the end of this week, you know? That's why I do it. Bigger reasons that I'm coming up with now, my whys, is, you know, my mother passed when I was a little kid, and I just want to make her proud with everything that I accomplish. Or I want to become so good that I give my brother and my son something to compete with. Those are some big whys. But I didn't come up with those until about 6 months ago. So, but I've been cold calling for 6 years without a big why. You know, so I don't think you need this big reason, this big magical reason to get on the phones. It just works, you know, it works. It sucks in the beginning, but it works. If you get it right, it works. It's like anything, right? We didn't stop walking because we didn't figure it out the first year, right? You just keep trying, and you would have kept trying. If you didn't learn how to walk by the time you were 14, you would have been like Forrest Gump, and eventually you would have been running, you know? And that is the mindset. I want to point that out. That is the mindset. It's not this difficult thing. It is and it isn't, you know? We can argue for the daily tasks and how to get yourself up and running. But listen, once you're all ready to go and your engine is tuned, if I call somebody right now, put the phone to this young man's ear, who I'm proud to say is on our team, he wouldn't hesitate to get on the phone and close for the appointment. Same thing with him. They wouldn't hesitate. What's the difference? One, they did it for a long time. Two, they have confidence that it works, you know? And they know what to say. They've said it a lot, you know? I mean, how long have you been in the business?
Close to 10 months now.
10 months. And how?
Since last March.
Yep, so he gets listing appointments like every week. You know, every week, and he just cold calls. None of the people he closed are his friends or family, right? None of them. He knew none of these people before he closed on the business. Is that business out of air? You know? Yeah, I think so. Could you do that? Could you do that? You? Yeah, for sure. Everybody can. Everybody can. The thing I want to say is this. Most people that, you know, I study a lot of these cold calling teachers and stuff like that. They teach a lot of techniques that people used all the time that worked, you know, like benefits. I'm going to list all the benefits for these people, and then once they see the benefits of using a realtor as opposed to what they're doing, they're going to hire me. Well, I just want to share this, you know, that stuff worked, but you got to understand, you're calling a human being, and people today are a lot smarter than they used to be. There's a lot of information. If they want to go see what realtors are up to and how they're getting sold on the cold calls, they can just go ahead and look up all the information. You're talking to human beings, all right? It's not scripts. That's why I say it's not scripts, because when I talk to people, I talk to people. If I call someone, and I don't think the lady should sell our house, because if she sells our house and she thinks she's gonna move to Florida, she's not gonna get enough money, and she's really not gonna win, and she's better off staying in this house and technically dying in there, I'll let her know that, you know? If you do it with an honest heart, and you get the business that you're supposed to get, fine. Now, can you use these skills to kind of like, you know, manipulate people? Of course you can. Of course you can, you know? But I expect everybody in this room is not learning this stuff to manipulate people, you know? So what you're gonna be doing is just being able to call people and just give yourself a million whys, you know? Today I'm doing it because I want a $5,000 check in a month, you know? Next week I'm doing it because I want to go on vacation once a quarter, whatever, you know? And if you have big whys, have big whys. But I don't think that should be the deciding factor of whether you start or you stop cold calling. Now, any questions about any of that? Does everybody kind of understand the mindset? Just have fun. Don't worry about it. You're going to die, right? News. And it's not going to matter, you know? So if you're going to cold call for the next 5 years, get all the business you can, set up the business, retire properly, and then maybe have like Ando, and we're going to put some guys under him, at least that's our plan, and we're going to build out a whole team. I'm not going to be cold calling forever. Come on, you know? It's fun, but it's not that much fun, you know? It's work. It's work. It's not this like crazy thing, but if you could get business out of air, why wouldn't you? I think it's really easy, you know? Now, so who to cold call? Different scripts, intro statements, things to say for each different type of cold call, or we'll just call them calls. Susan Rockwork, our awesome leader here, one time we were out eating and dinner over at the characters over there. I forget for what the event was. Oh, Michael Mayer was in town. So she shared, and we cold called for, you know, a whole long time. The hardest thing about cold calling is the first statement. I call you, I say hello, and I say, hey, this is Dave, I'm a realtor. Did you had your house for sale? And they hang up, right? So here's the thing. There's a difference between a cold calling, a long time cold caller and a short time cold caller. Like if you started cold calling tomorrow, you get on the phone for 3 hours, and I get on the phone for 3 hours tomorrow. What I could say to people is different because I have very high talent in that. My speech, I could get out of any little situation, maneuver my way, and think really, really quickly. You may not be able to right away. So you have to use easier scripts, because the hard scripts will get people to reject you if you don't use them right, you know? So she shared with me something that she said to people, and I thought it was a gem, because I think of it two ways. When we teach people to cold call that are willing to do it, and it's just that one like young kid who's like just focused and nothing's gonna stop them, well, that's easy. Most people are probably like me. Like, it's too scary of a thing, you know? It's too scary of a thing. I don't think, I'm just like a regular person, you know? So you gotta use easy scripts to break into the business. So if you call anyone, you might wanna write this down. If you call anyone, I suggest the very easy go-to opening line that'll probably work 100% of the time because I tried it a million times. Even Arthur says it, like, you shouldn't be saying that because you're just way past that level. But you just call people and you just say, hey, this is David. You could say DNA Realty Group or whatever, Keller Williams Realty. And then you just say, did I get you at a good time? Now just think about that. If I call you right now and your house is for sale and I say, hey, this is Dave, and there's 5 other realtors just called you and I say, did I get you at a good time? You can't give me a rude response unless you're an a-hole and I got you at a really bad time. So did I get you at a good time is a really good opening line, amazing opening line. It works 100% of the time. If anybody finds out it doesn't work, come and tell me the reason why. because I use it all the time. Especially when the first few phone calls, every morning I still don't want to make phone calls right away. So the first few phone calls, I'll go with the easy ones, you know? Did I get you at a good time? And then they'll say, no, you didn't get me at a good time. And what you can say at that point is there a better time to reach you? You know, which is, it's like magic. You know, is there a better time to reach you? In that case, they're going to say, there is no better time to reach me ever again, which is fine. Or they're going to say, yeah, try me at 6 o'clock tonight, you know? In which case, you could call them at 6 o'clock that night, which they already allowed for you permission to talk. If you say to someone, did I get you at a good time? And they say, yeah, you did. Well, they just gave you permission to talk. Whereas opposed to you call them and you say, hey, this is David, DNA Realty Group, calling about 123 Lane, the home that you had for sale. They didn't give you permission to talk yet. You didn't gauge where they are. Now, don't get me wrong, I do it like that too. But we're talking about beginning stages and how to approach the conversations where when these people shut you down, they can do it a little sweeter so your heart's not broken so bad that you can't get on the phone the next day, you know? So does anybody have any questions about that? The reason why I study scripts, and a lot of people say you can role play with people. You can, you know, how many role play partners do you have?
Three.
Three?
Right now, yep.
So 3 times a week, this guy talks to another real estate person and they practice scripts. He's been doing that forever, you know, he's very consistent. I don't do that because I don't want to talk to anybody in the morning. So what I do is I'll study scripts, like my videos that you see online, there's a bunch of guys that do those videos. I'll listen to those things over and over and over and over, and I'll repeat what the guys say over and over and over and over in my car, you know, all the time. That helps me study scripts. The reason I study scripts is to know when to shut up. To know when to shut up. Not talking. We're all in real estate, so to me that means if you got your license and you got into the business of selling real estate, you must think on some level you're good at just generally communicating with people. You're good in a room. You're good in a crowd. You can talk, right? You're not going to be this shy outcast. So you want to study scripts to know when are you supposed to shut up? Because there's a study that shows that building rapport doesn't necessarily help you close business. Most of you walk in a room and you're already in rapport with people. You know, you find a reason you like them and they find a reason they like you. So you don't need to build rapport. You need to study scripts to know when to shut up, to give the other person a chance to process what you just said. You know, and to tie it in properly, to ask the right question, you know, like, are you ready to hire me now? Or if you know, Mr. Seller, like one of our closing questions at the end of most of our conversations is, and there's pre-qualifying script, right? 10, 20 questions of like drill sergeant, right? Where are you moving to? How many people are moving? What, you know, what's going on? Or you can just say, listen, if I come out there, right? So you set the appointment, you say, if I come out there and you like everything that I have to say, and it makes sense, and you feel like I'm the guy for the job, is there any reason why you wouldn't hire me when I come out there? Now, even if they say no to that question, what happened? You put the bug in their ear that your intention is to get hired, okay? The beginning of negotiation, any negotiation, is an answer, even if that answer is no. So when somebody says no to you, they say, oh, you should close 5 times, ask 6 times. Because if somebody says no to you in the beginning, that's the beginning of your negotiation, right? Daddy, I want ice cream. No. Daddy, I want ice cream. No. Okay, I said no 3 times to this kid. I mean, I can't, you know. Okay, let's go get ice cream, you know. That's how it goes, right? So if people tell you no, they're not going to be able to tell you no forever, or you're going to know and you're simply just be like, screw this person, you know, they're just rude. And that's another thing. You don't have to take people's shit just because you're calling them. If the person's rude, if I came up to you on the street and I pushed you around, right? You wouldn't probably let me just push you around. But yet, if you called me on the telephone and I say something derogatory, for some reason we let people do that, which to me is crazy. In the beginning, I did that too, so I mean, it's understandable, but I certainly wouldn't. I have no problem hanging up on people. I used to in the beginning, but I don't. You don't have to take people's shit. You're calling to help them. You're not calling people just to harass them, you know? You're calling it a valuable thing. Most of the time, we're calling people to see if we can help them get money, right? These people are going to get $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 and move on with their life. What's wrong with that? You know, if I'm the guy for the job, then I'm the guy for the job. You know, and that's kind of how I go into it thinking. Who can you call? So, expireds, which we all know, for sale by owners, neighborhoods. We started doing a lot in the past year and a half, just listed, just sold calls. We're still finalizing the way we do that. But you list a house, you call the neighborhood. Those you can pretty much do on anybody's property. If John has a house for sale, or Ando, or anyone, you could call and invite the neighbors to the open house. You know? If you want to ask John, that's up to you, you know. But I wouldn't step on his toes. So you can call just listed, just sold. Sphere of influence, people you know. You could call them, anyone on earth, you could call them. And cold calling neighborhoods. If you want to take over the neighborhood and you want to give these people a call every 3 to 6 months and update them on the market and you know, all the different numbers, whatever you want to come up with, you can do that too, you know. The mindset that you call expireds with is they already hired an agent, so the problem isn't with them hiring an agent. The agent they hired just did a really crappy job, you know, or they could have had a really unsellable house, so it's one of those two things. Now, if they agree with the fact that the agent they hired didn't do what they were supposed to do, didn't market it right, and there's something that could have been done better, well, that's what you're going for, you know? They had the house on the market. If they had a valid reason for... Nobody puts their house on the market just to have people walking in there. Nobody does that. I don't think anyone does, you know? So these people had an intention to sell the home. Your job is to find out why and see if you can help them. And if you have confidence in the way you market houses, then you should be able to help them. Then it's your job to translate that information to an expired. For sale by owners, depending on the market, they're stubborn. Like right now, for sale by owners can sell their own houses, right? I mean, some can, some can't, but mostly they can. Right now, more can than can't, you know? So now, everybody's saying, it's a hot market, it's a hot market. They don't realize that it's a full-time job to do this, right? Everybody is in here is pretty much full-time doing this. And it's a full-time job to market a property. So what I would translate to them is, you know, do you work full-time? The mindset, at least, is do you work 40 hours a week? Because I do this 40 hours a week, and if I had to go and do something else, I wouldn't. I'd rather pay someone. So with them, they may not be ready right now, but if in a month or 2 months they haven't sold their house and you're still calling them, you'll probably be able to go out and meet with them, you know, because they get a sense of reality. Not every for sale by owner sells either, you know. Neighborhoods, just listed, just sold. We've gotten a few appointments now from it. And all this stuff works, and as you do it more, you find your own system for doing it, you know. But that system doesn't come about until you're a year into cold calling consistently. Then you start functioning and firing off properly. So just listed, just sold calls. I think on the house in Malden, we're going to get another one on the same road. So what we did was we got the house, cold called around the neighborhood. We're going to start doing cards, but we've never done that before. And we're probably at some point today or tomorrow going to cold call that neighborhood again, saying, hey, we had a really busy open house, and this is what's going on in Malden. There's only 17 houses for sale right now. And in the last 6 months, there were 355. These are true numbers. For single families in Malden. We had 117 people at our open house. that's a sign of some sort, right? Because I don't think that's happened since we were in the beginning of our career, you know? So there's so many reasons to call people, you know? So FSBO's expires neighborhood. Sphere of influence. I personally don't like calling my sphere of influence too much. It's something I'm working on. Bull, I'm sure, is going to help me with that. Just, I don't know why. I can cold call anyone, but that's my little caveat that I don't know, you know, it's my fear, you know, so it's okay to not want to call all these people all the time. Now, any questions about any of that? No? Awesome. So now we're going to just talk about what does it realistically take. Hours, time, schedules, scripts, commitments, and then the stacking process of leads. The goal is, like you call someone, you go see them today. That's the goal. But in the beginning, you're going to find that a lot of it's going to be you call someone and you're not going to go see them today because you're just not that good, you know? You're going to call them, then you're going to follow up with them, then you're going to get to know them, then you're going to go see them. That could be a process of 4 or 5 conversations. For me, I could call them and go see them today. Yeah. In the beginning, could I do that? No. If you can do that on some of them, fine. But what you're doing is you're building relationships. You're building relationships. You're not calling to, if I can't help you right now, this instant, come out to your house in the next hour, I'm never going to call you again. Because people have different situations and situations change, and somebody might want to wait a month, or somebody might be, you know, I went to go see a guy in Tewksbury, $460,000 house or something like that. He was supposed to sign, then he got hurt his leg. What, am I going to stop calling the guy? No, I'm building a relationship. When he's ready to go, I'm ready to go, you know? And you got to have a lot of people like that, right? It's like planting seeds, right? They're not all going to pop right now, right? It takes a season to grow a seed. We are part of nature. Some of these things are going to take a season to grow. But when they do, you'll be turning them over like hotcakes because assuming you kept doing the work, you know? Now, you can't, if you're going to cold call and get business out of it, business by business, we'll just say you're trying to get a listing to 2 listing appointments a week, okay? The conversion on your listing appointments, that's a different topic. But you're trying to get into the door, not just to preview, which is an easy way to get out of, oh, I'm just coming by to see, maybe I have buyers. When they tell me that now, I say, listen, I'm not a buyer's agent. I'm not calling you to bring you buyers. I'm calling you to see when you guys are basically ready to interview some aggressive agents to sell your home. I get you a bunch of buyers to your front door, that's what I do. I don't bring one buyer to every house, you know. Don't you want the most money? Yeah, I want the most money. Okay, how are you going to get the most money if a few people bid on the house? Yeah, probably. Well, that's what I specialize in. You see? Where if you say, oh, I have a buyer, and you don't genuinely have a buyer, you're going to pigeonhole yourself, at least from my experience, you're going to pigeonhole yourself into this little corner of this is the guy or the girl or the gal that's bringing me a buyer. This is the buyer person. And if you don't want to be the buyer person, don't even say that you remotely have a buyer. Unless you genuinely do. If you do, you do, you know. But even if we do now, we'd rather list them. Because we had buyers before, brought them to the person, and it's, you know, it just didn't work out as planned, you know, and that's not a good position to be. Just to be in a position of charge, you want to put the home on the market, then you go tell your buyer about it. Because you know what? It's not probably 100%, it's probably not even 50% that the buyer you think is going to buy the house. Because how many times do deals fall apart, you know? So it's just crazy to call someone and say, oh, I might have buyers. Unless you genuinely do, you know? Because if you don't, you're going to go look for buyers for a person who hasn't hired you to do so? To me, that's crazy. It wasn't crazy before, but now it is, you know? So if you're going to cold call people, whether it's neighborhoods or whatever, to get any true results, you have to do it for at least 15 hours a week, you know? It's just like if you went to work at one of these $10 an hour jobs and you went for less than 40 hours a week. But now imagine you go for less than 15 hours a week. You get nothing, you know? So 15 hours a week is the minimum. The way I've done different ways, a million ways in one, I always switch it around. But you could technically do 5 hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which is a lot, I understand, which is 25 hours. You can do 4 hours, you can do 3 hours. You can do 4 days a week, you can do 5 days a week. I'm big on saying, don't work the weekends, you know? I used to work the weekends in the beginning when my son was younger, but now Sunday is like Father Sunday. I don't care about business, it's not work that much. My kid and just my personal life means a lot more to me, right? So I don't work on Sundays. You don't have to cold call all 7 days a week. It's a job, so do it like a job. You know, you can do it Monday through Friday, 2 to 3 hours a week. If you have to do 1 hour to build a habit, then do that. In the beginning, we used to get satisfaction out of saying we talked to 5 people or 4 people or 2 people. In the beginning. Now that won't fly, you know? Now that won't fly. But we did that for a long time, even up until probably 2 years ago, you know? Now, for the past, this past week, every time I get on the phone, I don't get off unless I get 35 contacts, an appointment, or I've been on the phone for 3 hours. As luck would have it, I haven't set an appointment last week, probably because I was teaching this class and everything in life works in my favor. And just to let you know that there will be some weeks and months that you'll go cold calling and nothing will happen. And then there'll be other weeks and months that you'll go cold calling and all of a sudden you get 2, 3, 4, 5 listing appointments, you know? It's consistency. You gotta be consistent. So if you're gonna do it for 15 hours for the first 3 months, and the first 3 months are a really terrible experience for you, you're gonna quit. We've had people on our team that have done that before. So if you're gonna commit to it for a year, as you would with Zillow, but I guarantee you this probably yields much higher returns, you know, and